Good morning, Sam. It is Thursday, January 31st, 2008, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why is my roommate vlogging at me when he could just yell at the wall? I have two good reasons. The first is that Hank and John Green of the Vlog Brothers have taught me how fun and powerful video communication can be, so I thought, why the hell not? Reason number two is that this way, when I say something, you don't have the option to physically beat the crap out of me. Well, not at the moment I say it anyway. Alright, moving on. Getting to part one. Tiananmen Square protests of 1989. I know you know exactly why I bring this up. Remember a couple of weeks ago when we saw that shirt with a guy standing in front of a line of tanks and it said Tiananmen Tank Man? And I was like, hey, that's a pretty cool shirt. And then you said, hey, what's Tiananmen? And I was like, kinda T. I said, how have you not heard of Tiananmen? Didn't you ever take a history class? To which you responded, no, I never really legitimately took one. I kinda just cruised through high school. This made me angry, so I was like, you have to know some history, especially if it happened in your lifetime. For those of you who don't know, you're in good company. The Tiananmen Square protests of 1989 were a group of intellectual students and labor activists who were trying to push for a greater economic freedom and government transparency in China. They gathered in Tiananmen Square mostly peacefully, and in early June 1989, a famous picture was taken, which is being shown right here, of a man, a simple laborer with his groceries, standing in front of a line of PLA tanks. Now, that takes some balls, and really, I'm wondering what kind of guy would do that? What's going through his head? And granted, I'm new to this whole vlog thing, so I'm gonna defer to people who might know a little bit more about it than I would. If you asked Hank and John Green of Brotherhood 2.0, they would assert that he was made of so much awesome that he could single-handedly stop all of the world suck that the PLA tanks represented. If you ask Buck from What the Buck Show, he would probably state something like he was so depressed about Jamie Lynn Spears getting pregnant and now giving up the baby that he was throwing himself in front of the tanks in some sort of depressed suicidal rage. Then again, if you went over to someone like Philly D from the Philly D Show, he would probably just state that bitch most definitely be crazy. I find myself thinking somewhere between Philly D and the Vlog Brothers. Bitch most definitely is crazy. But at the same time, he was made of so much awesome. He had the political foresight to realize that he would later be named one of Time Magazine's top 100 most influential people of the century. Which you either have to be really made of awesome to get that, or really evil, because I think Hitler made the same list. Moving on. Cobra Commander. Yeah, I said Cobra Commander. I'm talking about this guy. The freaking Cobra Commander. Now, I was thinking on the bus the other day, as I do often on the bus, because not much else entertains me, that G.I. Joe was a really crappy show. And it kind of scarred my childhood, whereas, things like X-Men or Captain Planet improved it. But when I really got past how much the show sucked, I started thinking about the plotline and development. And if you think about it, it didn't really make much sense. It's like the G.I. Joes and the Cobra commanding army, or whatever the hell it was, were the reject sons who dropped out of high school of legitimate generals who were starting a war somewhere else, and they were kind of put off to the side and told to fight each other. Because if you watch an actual episode of it, everyone's firing lasers everywhere, but no one ever gets hit. Like, tanks blow up and shit, but who cares? They had to be the most incompetent commanders of all time. Like, if you look at the Cobra Commander, his whole goal is to kill like a platoon of 10 Americans, right? How many of them die in the show? None. Repeatedly. Every episode. Stupidest premise ever. But one of the greatest villains. He was still hell-bent on destroying them, even though he was completely incompetent in commanding armies. Now, I know I may have lost you on those first two topics there, but let me bring it back home with something you'll understand. World of Warcraft. So I read a Yahoo article the other day that said the World of Warcraft has reached a population of 10 million, which is greater than the population of Israel, which the article cited, which is scary. If you really think about it, this is more terrifying than meets the eye. Transformers reference not intended. Really, what this means is that the amount of people who play World of Warcraft severely outnumber the IDF, as in the Israeli Defense Force. Sorry, I know, you don't know a lot of history or current events or political anything, but deal with it. If you break this down logically, it means that if everyone playing World of Warcraft were to get up and go buy a gun, which a lot of them probably can do legally, they could probably invade and take over Israel, which is terrifying in itself. I've drawn this diagram for clarification. But since they all play World of Warcraft, and I've observed people who play World of Warcraft because you used to be one of those elite few, I think it's pretty safe to say that none of the 10 million people playing World of Warcraft today will be getting up to do anything of the sort, ever, unless they're rewarded with Hot Pockets. Now, Sam, that's all I'm recording for you today. I hope it upset you as much as it entertained you. Oh, and one last thing, John. Yeah, I'm talking to you, John Green. Your glasses are made of awesome. Don't let anyone give you crap for them.